This is really going to hit home for maybe 3 of our groups, and the rest of you weren't the right age at the right time. But one of my favorite albums in the 90s was Bloom by Audio Adrenaline. It's one I'd sit in my room and have on repeat, and there's one song on that album that hit me the other day out of the blue as I was thinking about the story of Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus. It's one that was powerful as a teenager, but man, it still resonates pretty powerfully in middle age too. It's a song called Man of God, and the lyrics go like this. Sometimes I'm a liar. Sometimes I'm a fake. Sometimes I'm a hypocrite that everybody hates. Sometimes I'm a poet. Sometimes I'm a preacher. Sometimes I watch life go by sitting on the bleacher. But I've never been left alone in any problem that I've known, even though I'm to blame. There were times when things were dark, and I've been known to miss the mark, but someone fixed my aim. Sometimes I'm a man of God. Sometimes I'm alright. But sometimes I lay down, close my eyes, and pray to God, I'm ready for the night. I think it's so easy in life to be full of contradictions. And I feel like maybe our failures, our inadequacies, our inconsistencies disqualify us from being disciples or making a difference for God. But you guys, I think saints are just sinners who fall down but then trust God's grace enough to stand back up. They're people who know that discipleship is about direction, not perfection. So they fight to just keep taking the next right step of obedience, even in the middle of their contradictions and inconsistencies. That's what Joseph and Nicodemus did. They were fakers, hiding their faith in Jesus because they so desperately wanted to be accepted and remain in the inner circle of society that they were willing to stay silent to protect their status. Just like, let's be real, many of us today are tempted to do. I mean, they were powerful, wealthy, respected religious leaders in Jerusalem. They had influence, status, and authority. They were insiders. But despite secretly believing in Jesus, both of them had hidden their faith because they feared what it would cost them socially and politically. They wanted Jesus, but they also wanted to stay safely inside the inner ring of power and popularity in their culture. Then everything changed at the cross. John tells us after Jesus died, Joseph boldly approached Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. That was an incredibly risky move because crucified criminals were normally denied proper burials. Their bodies were often left exposed or thrown into common graves. But shockingly, Joseph and Nicodemus stepped forward publicly and unmistakably and aligned themselves with Jesus at the exact moment where everyone else was backing away. Joseph gave Jesus his own brand new tomb, and Nicodemus brought 75 pounds of burial spices. And that was the kind of extravagant burial preparation used only for kings. Like together, they honored Jesus openly and publicly. There was no hiding anymore, no camouflage, no pretending. The two men who had spent years protecting their image suddenly stopped protecting themselves altogether and declared not only that they believed in Jesus, but that they believed he was the Messiah. Why? Because the cross awakened something inside them and shifted their picture of what the good life was all about. Up until they watched Jesus lay down his life, their lives had revolved around preserving themselves, maintaining status, protecting influence, staying comfortable, and keeping themselves at the center so everybody else had to revolve around them. But then they watched Jesus, the only one truly worthy of being at the center of everything, willingly give himself away for others. Like Jesus used his power not to protect himself, but to sacrifice himself. And in that moment, Joseph and Nicodemus realized they'd been chasing the wrong vision of the good life all along. Because the good life is not found in self-centeredness, it's found in self-sacrifice. That's the great reversal of the gospel. Part of being human in this messed up world is wanting things and people to revolve around us. We want to get into the inside of the inside group. We want to be admired, included, comfortable, and secure. And by and large, we're willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. To crop, edit, and filter our lives to perfection. To fake or hide who we are in order to get inside and stay inside the center. But Jesus reveals that true life is found not in making ourselves the center, but in giving ourselves away in love. The God of the universe stepped into humanity, into the human story, and laid down his life for us, showing us that love and sacrifice are inseparable. And honestly, that's what makes the story of Joseph and Nicodemus so encouraging. These were not perfect men. They were complicated, contradictory, fearful. They had stayed silent while Jesus was being condemned. They hid when courage was needed most. They were, in many ways, living in the tension between faith and fear, just like so many of us do. That's why their story feels relatable. Most of us know what it's like to love Jesus while still struggling to fully trust him. We know what it's like to believe God's enough while still chasing other things for fulfillment. We know what it's like to sing songs about surrender and then panic when life feels out of control. But the beautiful truth of the gospel is that inconsistency does not disqualify us from discipleship. Again, discipleship is about direction, not perfection. It's about taking the next step of obedience and trusting that God can work through imperfect people. Joseph and Nicodemus were flawed men, but when the moment came, they took a step toward Jesus, and God used them in an extraordinary way. That same invitation is in front of us today. The world will keep inviting us to hide, pretend, and build our lives around ourselves. It'll keep telling us the good life is found in getting into the inner ring and having everybody revolve around us. But Jesus invites us into something better and something more. He calls us to stop trying to be the center of everything and instead place him at the center of our lives. He calls us to stop obsessing over image and status and instead look for ways to give ourselves away in love, service, generosity, and sacrifice. Because in the end, the good life isn't found in protecting ourselves, it's found in giving ourselves away. And when we stop trying to live at the center of the universe and start living like Jesus lived, then even in the middle of our contradictions and imperfections, we'll discover the lives our souls have been longing for all along.